From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the distinguished head of the music division of the Library of Congress, Susan Vida.
Hi, everybody. How many of you have been waiting for this night since last May? On behalf of the Library of Congress, I'm privileged to welcome all of you to perhaps the most popular concert we present each year. ASCAP, We Write the Songs 216. Within these walls, we have a confluence of creative energy and the people who protect musical creativity. The Songwriters, which is where we start, with the talented women and men who inspire us with their creativity. Members of Congress, who create the laws to protect creators of our cultural heritage. ASCAP, the world leader in performance royalties, advocacy, and service for music creators. And the Library of Congress, which gathers, safeguards, organizes, and makes available the creative products for study and inspiration for the future. The ASCAP collection is one of the library's most important collections, and I invite you to take a look at the lobby at pieces that we have culled from the collection for your enjoyment. I'd particularly like to thank ASCAP for supporting this great event again, and to recognize Beth Matthews, ASCAP CEO, Colleen McDonough, Executive Director, ASCAP Foundation, what a wonderful team ASCAP has. And now the moment you have been waiting for, please welcome a powerful force for music creators, Oscar, Grammy, Golden Globe winning, Hall of Fame, this is such a mouthful, Hall of Fame songwriter, ASCAP President and Chairman. How many titles do you have, Paul? ASCAP Foundation President, Paul Williams.
Sue Vida. Thank you, Sue. Sue! It's been a year. It's absolutely amazing. Now, what do we write about when we write songs? We write about what's important to us. You blink twice and a year's gone by. Started thinking there's got to be a reason. Why would time want to learn to fly? Get you quickly to your favorite season. Oh, my God, this is one of our favorite times of the year for us to come here and... Thank you, Sue. And it's also wonderful to follow somebody where I don't have to lower the mic. I mean, that's just wonderful. It's like, so bad. It's always a wonderful, wonderful pleasure to be here at the Library of Congress. All of us at ASCAP are so pleased that this great institution is the home of so much of our nation's great history. It also includes the ASCAP collection at the Library of Congress. You know, you're doing something right. I say it every year. You're doing something right in your life when you can show up at some place like the Library of Congress and feel like you just came home. We are grateful for this. Thank you. You can applaud the Library of Congress one more time. We are grateful for the special partnership between the library and the ASCAP Foundation, and for the support of David Mao, Robert Newland, Sue Vida, Michelle Glimpf, Nichelle Wingfield, Michelle Wingfield Miles, I'm sorry, English, I have trouble with it sometimes, Laura Chazelle, Kate Rivers, Solomon Haile Selassie, and the entire library team. I give you a huge round of applause, and thank you. I must also thank our great friend and supporter of many, many years. He's the retired librarian of Congress, a great friend, Dr. James Billington. God bless you, James, Doctor. And I would like to recognize and applaud ASCAP's Chief Executive Officer, Elizabeth Matthews. She and ASCAP's dedicated staff are working very hard to ensure the future of ASCAP and its members so we can put food on the table, gas in the car, take care of these wonderful people writing these fabulous songs. This evening, thank you. This evening is our way to say thank you to our many, many friends in Congress on both sides of the aisle who are in the room tonight. For all of you do, for all you do for all of us, it's a great honor to stand in front of you and to recognize the precious extreme glory of the one simple word that we're here to protect, and that is copyright. And I care so much about it that I can even get lost in the teleprompter and find my way back to talk about copyright. It's fantastic. I cannot mention copyright and not stop to say there's somebody who's been wonderfully important and a great advocate in the audience. Maria Palandi, the Registrar of Copyright, is sitting in the audience, and it's we are grateful for all the hard work you do. Behind every composition is a story of how it came to be written, and you'll be hearing a bit about that in that process from the music creators themselves. You know, you sit down, you stare at the ceiling, you try to write something new, you wind up, in my case, I actually one time wound up rewriting O Little Town of Bethlehem. It's not always a hit the first time out, you know. But it's a great evening ahead, so let's get started with the representative of the 8th District of the State of New York, a member of the House Committee on the Judiciary and Education and the Workforce, the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries. Congress.
Thank you, Paul. This evening's first performer is a Philadelphia-based composer and educator from the world of contemporary classical music. She grew up in Georgia and Tennessee, but I feel connected to her because she was born in Kings County, otherwise known as the People's Republic of Brooklyn. Over the years, she has emerged as one of America's most honored and accomplished composers. Since the premiere 16 years ago of her tone poem, Blue Cathedral, it has been performed by 400 orchestras. She received the 2009 Grammy Award for her composition, Percussion Concerto, and was the Pulitzer Prize winner in 2010 for another magnificent piece entitled Violin Concerto. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jennifer Higdon.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here tonight, and I'm honored to be going first because I think all of the music we're going to be hearing tonight probably emerged out of classical music way back in the day. But I actually come from such humble beginnings. I lived on a farm in East Tennessee outside Maryville, and I was a self-taught flutist. I picked the instrument up at 15, went off to college thinking I would major in music. I don't know what I was thinking because I didn't really know much of anything, but while I was in college, I discovered composition, and as we say in the South, it was like kudzu vine. It took over. It is a joy to be able to write music. In fact, for me, it's my life oxygen. I have to do it. And so I've been experiencing kind of an amazing thing because when I was in school, ASCAP helped me by giving me Morton Gould Young Composer Awards. That helped me pay the rent, buy manuscript paper, take composition lessons. And then once I got out of college, they actually gave me my first professional commission with a real symphony orchestra, the Oregon Symphony. That piece launched my career. Everything that I've written since then, and I've written 180 works, grew out of that one commission, and it is because of ASCAP. I know that ASCAP always has my back. It's an amazing thing to live in the United States, to be a young woman who can actually make a living as a composer. It's because of the laws here, because it's protected, because I can make that living, and because ASCAP's there to cover my back, to answer the questions, to point me in the right direction when I have the questions, and to help me to help other young composers. So it's a real joy tonight to be able to share some of my music with you. The selection you're about to hear comes from my opera, Cold Mountain, which just premiered last August in Santa Fe. This was a commission amongst 4 opera companies: Opera Philadelphia, Santa Fe, North Carolina Opera, Minnesota Opera. It's based on Charles Fraser's award-winning book, and it is the tale of a young Inman going back at the end of the Civil War to his love, Ada. He has a lot of adventures. Towards the end of the opera is this one chorus. It's called Our Beautiful Country, and it's a representation of all the soldiers who have fallen in war throughout history. They're saying, don't forget us. Remember that we gave our blood for this cause because we believe in our beautiful country. So if you would please give a warm welcome to the Washington Master Chorale Men's Ensemble, Thomas Colohan conducting. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the representative of the 9th District of Tennessee and a member of the House Committees on the Judiciary and Transportation and Infrastructure, the Honorable Steve Cohen.
Thank you. The 9th District of Tennessee, also known as Memphis. I'm honored to be in the presence of one of the stars of one of the movies I always liked since I was a child, and that's The Loved One. Paul Williams was in that movie and played a special role, and he's been a friend for a long time. But today I get to introduce somebody who's from the state across the river from Memphis, Arkansas, our good neighbor. We're the Mid-South, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Tennessee. This gentleman from Arkansas who's had such an accomplished career was from Hot Springs, and that's a goodly distance from Memphis, really closer to Texas. But it's in Arkansas, and when he grew up, he played in a jazz band with Dr. Jim French and another guy named Bill Clinton. And he went to Hendrix College where he studied music, which has nothing to do with Jimmy, but you think it was because he's such a diverse talent that he's written for artists in pop, country, rock, jazz, and R&B. And he's had hits for Anne Murray, Roy Orbison, Kenny Rogers, George Benson, Steve Perry, and Toto. That's a pretty wide spectrum. He's also a songwriter. Besides being a songwriter, he's an artist, recording artist, and a producer in his own right, an inductee in the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame and the Arkansas Entertainers Hall of Fame. Great musician, and a guy with a great head of hair, just like me, Randy Goodrum.
Always the hair jokes, you know. Well, I have a couple of songs I'm going to do for you, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I did them. This first song is one that is in a group of songs I've written, which I call my auto songs, and that is songs that I've written while in the car. Literally. You know, you'll be going someplace and you're just, you know, you're one part of your brain is driving the car and the other part is kind of freewheeling, and you get these ideas. And, you know, so this happened in the 70s before they had iPhones and the little shortcut things that you could do to capture your ideas. So we were still using pen and paper. And I had to, so texting and driving is really dangerous. Well, you know, writing and songs and driving is more dangerous. So what I had to do is I had to routinely figure out, okay, if I get an inspiration, I got to pull off and write something. Well, I'm in this stretch of road in Nashville, Nolensville Road, and there were no places to pull off, except there was a Wendy's hamburger place. And the Wendy's, this particular one, had a long line of people ordering. I wasn't particularly hungry, but I figured this will give me another 10 or 15 minutes. I can get in line, order a Coke or something. And so I was able to actually write the verses to this song while waiting to order. It kind of came quick to me, and actually I got my burger. I ended up ordering something, and I actually wrote the chorus across the street at a place called Big K. It's not there anymore, but and so then the next thing that happened was it's a kind of a pop song, so I had to go and through the process of demoing it and then looking throughout the world to try to find an artist who could record it. It's not as easy as it looks. And there was this great artist from Minnesota, Michael Johnson, who heard it and did it on his first record, his first album that he did. So here it is. And after you go, I can catch up on my reading. Sadder than Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, you know, I started off my career not as a songwriter. I started off as a musician and playing piano for hire and in clubs and private parties and things like that. And like a lot of the fellows up here, we had to know some old standards. You know, if people will request a song, you pretty well need to either know it or fake it or something. And so one of the things I figured out pretty early on was when I started kind of looking at the way the songs were put together, they all had verses, choruses, bridges, but they weren't all necessarily in the same order or distributed the same. Some songs had verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, and some songs had nothing but choruses. And occasionally you would have some of the old standards would have a verse with two verses, and that was it. So anyway, I wrote this song, and it was verse, bridge, verse. And I started playing it for record labels and producers and stuff, and they would say, well, you know, it's really nice, but there's no chorus. And I said, well, it doesn't really need a chorus. And they said, well, every song has to have a chorus. And I said, well, what about when sunny gets blue, rise, you know, songs like that. Then they have a verse and a bridge and a verse. And that's usually at the point of the meeting where things started spiraling downward. So what I did was, at the same time, as I was taking meetings and so forth, I actually was sending, which we do as songwriters, you figure out any way you can to get a song to somebody, and so I sent a few things in the mail. So I actually mailed this to Anne Murray, who was a Canadian artist at the time, still is, and she heard it and liked it, and I guess she didn't care that it didn't have a chorus, and thank goodness. So here it is for you.
You cleared my mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome ASCAP Executive Vice President of Membership, John Tita.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I am so delighted to bring to this great stage one of Atlanta's most distinguished residents. In recent years, Atlanta has emerged as one of our nation's leading music cities because this is where today's great songwriters and artists come from in the R&B and hip-hop fields. So like Usher, Jermaine Dupri, TLC, and Ludacris are among some of the superstars that call Atlanta home, as does our next performer-songwriter. Now, this young woman grew up in a gospel-singing family and began performing in church from the very tender age of 2. Wow. She was discovered and signed to a major label deal at 11. At 11. On the basis of her powerful vocals from her and then she had a triple platinum debut album, which was titled, and I know it's not going to sound cool when I say it, Miss Thang, and and that was released in 1995. Since then, there have been 11 top 10 singles, 6 more top 5 albums, including her latest one called Code Red, a Grammy Award, numerous Soul Train and Billboard Awards. And if that wasn't enough, she's also a film and television actress, the wife of a basketball superstar, Shannon Brown, and the mother of 3. So please join me in welcoming Monica.
Good evening. How is everyone? Very, very, very good to see you. I am very lucky because I had a chance to fall in love with music without all the politics. I didn't understand the paperwork, nor did I understand that it was big business. It was just a lot of love. And at 2 years old, I started singing in a church choir, and I was discovered at 11. I signed at 12, and my first record dropped when I was 13. Now at 35, I see just how important that music was, because not only did it save my life and give me so much to dedicate my time to, but it actually influenced a whole generation of people that have really grown up with me. So when I think about songs, it started for me with poetry. I would sit in my room and I would write different poems, and my poems were always somewhat what some people would say is dark. And it was because I would talk about what I felt. And I got very lucky when I was introduced to a man by the name of Dallas Austin after winning that talent show. And he would come in and he would take those poems and say, "This is a whole song." And I said, "Really? You gonna pay me?" And he said, "I'll do you even better than that. I'll pay you, and I'll keep paying you. But you'll keep expressing yourself, and you'll keep touching people, and you'll keep touching lives, and you'll keep reaching people that are just like you, whose lives just may not be perfect, but they'll find peace and solace in the music." So a couple of the selections that I sing tonight, they are about some real life experiences, especially this first one. It was written by a young lady named Crystal and myself, and again, another one of my poems were what started it all. And I told her, I said, "This is one of the most difficult times in my life. How do I get through it?" And she said, "We sing through it." So that's what we'll do. should have known, you should have known, should have known better. Not gonna know, you should have known better. I'm not gonna let you go. Now that song was titled "Should Have Known Better." And it was one of those songs that a lot of people didn't even catch on to exactly what I was saying, but then some people did. And in some places we got in a little bit of trouble, but we made a whole lot of history, and that's what the music is really about. You don't ever want to lose the essence of what it is. And I think about it, I guess I was about 20, that record, 15 years ago. And now I make songs that reflect not only where I've been, but where I'm going. And about 6 years ago, I got married, and we started talking about the important parts of connecting with one another and connecting with people. And a big part of that is knowing what people desire in their hearts. And music is really food for the soul. It is that language that we all speak. It's the universal language. So I would love to do that song for you because it was written from the bottom of my heart with another young female who is amazing. So I want to do that song for you because it really speaks to knowing who you are and knowing what you want and knowing what you desire. And a big part of being an artist starts right there. These shadows of doubt have made it so hard to. And every day you tear away a piece of the wall built around me. And I know slowly I'm believing what I'm seeing. Suddenly I'm trusting what I'm feeling. Oh, and this time this love ain't leaving me cold. 2 of my favorites. As a writer and an artist, I thank you and appreciate each and every one of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the representative from the 21st District of Florida, a member of the House Committees on Foreign Affairs, the Judiciary, and Ethics, please welcome the Honorable Ted Deutsch.
Hi, I'm Congressman Ted Deutsch. I represent parts of Broward and Palm Beach counties, Florida, in Congress, and I'm so proud to be the co-chair of the Congressional Songwriters Caucus. I'm thrilled to be here because each year this wonderful event helps put a name and a face to the folks behind some of our most beloved songs. Tonight, we'll get an introduction not only to those who create the soundtrack of today, but also a preview of the songwriters that will enrich our lives for years to come. I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to introduce a very gifted young woman who has already left an important mark on the music world, from pop to R&B to soul. A native of suburban Detroit, her first big break came when a Mercedes-Benz ad campaign wisely used one of her early recordings. Since then, 3 albums have featured her soul-filled vocals and original songs. She has set the tone for numerous film and television projects, and she's had smash hit recordings of her songs performed by artists like Miley Cyrus, One Direction, Ellie Goulding, Kelly Clarkson, and Madonna, all artists that I'm not embarrassed to say, since my children are not here, that I'm big fans of. As a former Michigander and a longtime Motown fan, I was delighted to learn that her most recent album, The Brian Holland Sessions, was co-written with one of the great songwriters behind the legendary hits of the Supremes and the Four Tops and so many other wonderful Motown artists. I am so pleased to introduce Maureen Ann McDonald, better known as MoZella.
Okay, hi. Wow, I can't see any of you. I'm from suburban Detroit, and yes, thank you. And my dad was actually a politician. He was actually the supervisor, which is sort of a term for a mayor of our town before I was born. And then he went on to run for state senate when I was a kid. But he lost to a guy named Bob Geek, which is an awful lesson to learn at age 7, that you could lose to someone named Geek. He imparted a lot of wisdom on me, and it's interesting. I woke up this morning thinking about politicians and the wisdom my dad imparted on me, and I realized that songwriters and politicians have a lot more in common than we think. That we all set out with a goal in mind when we were young, and a dream and a fire in our hearts to make the world better. And that's why you are all here in DC, hopefully doing everything you can to fulfill that dream. And that's what we do. That's what songwriters do. I left home from that town when I was 18 years old, and I moved to Los Angeles, and I got my first record deal with Maverick Records. And I went through the obligatory round of getting signed and dropped like a lot of artists do, and taught me a lot. And I knew in my heart that I always wanted to write songs, and I always wanted to be a hit writer, but I didn't know how to get there. But I realized that if you just put a goal in the distance and just keep going toward it and believing you can make it happen, you will. And you don't always know how you're going to get there. You just have to believe you'll get there. And the song I'm going to sing for you tonight was my first break into pop writing. And it came actually, ironically, and I'm sure a lot of you can understand this one, through probably the worst thing that ever happened to me. So I had a horrible breakup, and I was devastated and kind of reduced to rubble in my life. And I said, what am I going to do? I don't want to be an artist anymore, and I want to be a hit writer, but how do you even become a hit writer? I didn't even know where to begin. But I was so broken and so sad that I wrote this song. And then Miley Cyrus cut it. And then she got naked and got on a ball and swung back and forth. And then here I am.
We clawed, we chained our hearts in vain. We jumped, never asking why. We kissed, I fell under your spell of love. Guess I should have let you in. Don't you ever say I just walked away. I will always want you. I came in like a wrecking ball. I never hit so hard in love. All I wanted was to break your walls. All you ever did was wreck me. I came in like a wrecking ball. Yeah, I just closed my eyes and swung. Left me crashing in a blazing fall. All you ever did was wreck me. Yeah, you wrecked me. Yeah, you wrecked me. Thank you. Thank you. So the next song I'm going to sing with the band is the song that you might have heard on the radio recently. I co-wrote it with this artist. His name is Charlie Puth, and the song is called One Call Away. I'm only one call away. I'll be there to save the day. Superman got nothing on me. I'm only one call away. Call me baby if you need a friend. I just wanna give you love. Come on, come on, come on. Reaching out for you, so take a chance. No matter where you go, you know you're not alone. I'm only one call away. I'll be there to save the day. Superman got nothing on me. I'm only one call away. Come along with me and don't be scared. I just wanna set you free. Come on, come on, come on. You and me can make it anywhere. So for now, we can stay for a while. You know, I just wanna see you smile. No matter where you go, you know you're not alone. I'm only one call away. I'll be there to save the day. Superman got nothing on me. I'm only one call away. And when you're weak, I'll be strong. I'm gonna keep holding on. Now don't you worry, wait long, darling. Feel like hope is gone. Just run into my arms. I'm only one call away. I'll be there to save the day. A Superman got nothing on me. I'm only one. I'm only one call away. I'll be there to save the day. Superman got nothing on me. I'm only one call
Give it up for this band, by the way. They're so talented, and we're so lucky to play with them tonight. So thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the senator from the state of Tennessee. He is the chairman of the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions. He also serves on the Senate Appropriations and Rules and Administration Committees. Please welcome the Honorable Lamar Alexander.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a real treat tonight to introduce a very talented and prolific artist from Tennessee. He's a native of Missouri, and he's a former medical student who, after a while, moved to Nashville and began a career of producing and performing and writing songs. And he's done that remarkably well. He's had more than 450 songs recorded by some of the biggest recording artists in the world, such as Carrie Underwood, Bon Jovi, Keith Urban, Kelly Clarkson, will.i.am, and Kenny Chesney. Pretty good list. A Grammy winner. He's had 23 #1 hits. He was twice ASCAP's Country Songwriter of the Year. Please give a great big welcome to Nashville's Brett James.
Well, thank you guys so much. Wow. What an inspiring night so far. Incredible. MoZella, that was insane. It is an absolute honor to be here. You guys, I cannot play this gig without bringing up the band, y'all. This is a world-class, all-star band. So I was lucky enough to play this gig about 5 years ago. Matter of fact, I've played this, I've been really blessed to play this theater enough that Vida came up to me before the show tonight and said, "You're here enough that I think you deserve a desk. I'm gonna have to find an office for you somewhere." But I grew up a drummer, and one of my idols is behind me. His name's Omar Hakim. And kind of freaks me out to get to be up here with him. And another one of my idols, you guys know him from the David Letterman band, Yo Willie's back here. It's crazy. So I'm bringing some country to the house tonight. Is that cool? Y'all cool with that? All right. You know, in true kind of Nashville form, I wrote this song in a barn. I have a little studio in a barn that's by my house, and one day I got a call from a buddy named Dirks Bentley, and he said, "Man, I got this song I want to write with you." So the next day he's over at my house, and now the thing about co-writing is that no matter how good you know your idea is that day, when you're one-on-one with somebody in the room, you apologize for it. You preface it, because you're about to get kind of naked in the room. You're about to, you never know what their response is going to be, even if you know it's the greatest idea in the history of ideas. You usually start it off by, "Well, this probably totally sucks." Or, "I'm sure this is nothing," And even if you've been holding on to that idea for like 3 years, it's usually, "Man, I came up with this just in the car on the way over." And I think Dirks did that to me this particular day. Because he walked in and literally had napkins, and he said, "Man, I just wrote this on some napkins. This is probably nothing." But he kind of read me the first 2 verses of this song, and my jaw sort of dropped. And if you know Dirks, this really is him. And I'm about to sing about a truck, and I'm about to sing about a guitar. And Dirks calls this his most personal and favorite song he's written because it really is about his life. He still drives a 1989 white Chevy Silverado that's in this song. And he still plays the Mark guitar that's about 30 years old that his dad gave him when he was in high school. This song was nominated for all the Song of the Year awards and lost them all. It's a song called "I Hold On." this song. I hold on. Thank y'all so much. Well, first of all, I want to thank Senator Alexander for introducing me and for all he's done for songwriters over the years. He's been an amazing advocate. I also want to thank you guys all for being here tonight and supporting a great American art form and a great American export, which is American songwriting. We're very grateful that you're here to support us tonight, and I say that from the bottom of my heart. Now I get the privilege of introducing one of my dearest friends, one of the most talented people I've ever known. I asked her, I said, how should I introduce you? She said, tell him I love the Lord and I love to get paid.
There you go. There you go.
She's been on an absolute tear as a songwriter. She's going to end up being in the Hall of Fame someday. She's a legend already, and she's very, very young. Y'all please welcome Priscilla Renea. And we're going to play a song for you guys that we wrote at an ASCAP songwriting camp. It's got kind of a weird story. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to.
I don't think we should tell it.
No, I'm not going to say who it was. I'm just going to say that there were three of us writing this song this particular day, and someone had some tummy trouble. And they walked in and they say, I got a gut feeling something bad about to happen. That turned into, I got a good feeling something bad about to happen. And Carrie Underwood and Miranda Lambert were kind enough to take this to #1 on the charts. And it may or may not be on a TV show coming up this fall. So y'all be looking for it on NBC coming up this fall. It's called Somethin Bad, y'all. Till the feet start clapping, got a real good feeling, something bad about to happen.
Up to the church, but I got so nervous that I back it on up. Couldn't make it to the service. Grabbed all the cash underneath my mattress, got a real good feeling, something bad about to happen.
Into a girl in a pretty white dress, rolled down the window, where you headed to next? Said I'm headed to the bar with my money.
got a real good feeling. Something bad about to happen.
Priscilla Renea, everybody.
Brett James, everybody. I actually stayed in that barn that he wrote that song in. He's actually my friend, for real. So I just, it's on my heart to just touch on why we're here and why in the world God said, Priscilla, you get to be in D.C. talking to these very important people about what you do. And it's really not about me. It's not about, I don't mean to speak for anybody else that was up here, but it's about the next generation. It's about the next young 19, 18-year-old who decides they want to defy their parents and not go to college. And, I'm from the South. I'm from Florida. And so I really wanted to do music bad enough to where my mom tried to bribe me with a car, and I slammed the door in her face. I was like, no, I'm going to write songs. And I just kind of stood there for a second like, I'm about to die. But she didn't open the door, and she really knew that this was something that I wanted to do. I've been singing since I was 2 years old. I've written songs for, Wiz Khalifa, Gucci Mane, Monica. Gosh, she's so beautiful. Madonna, Rihanna, Chris Brown. Everybody, Mary J. Blige. It really, music is just kind of transcendent. You write about what you go through, what's in your heart, and that's what makes a copyright, is when you write about the things that everybody else is thinking. And you can make it rhyme, and you can make it poetic and pretty and have a melody that everybody wants to sing along to. And I call them time capsule records. When you write a song that affects the culture. Just one of them days. That song is like, you can say that to somebody and they know what you mean. You know what I mean? And there's so many songs like that, like a virgin. You know what I mean? There's so many songs like that. You can't watch a movie, you can't turn on the TV, you can't go to the mall, you can't get in your car, nowhere without hearing music. And in 10, 15, 20 years, if we don't make sure that the next generation can eat and they don't have to decide between eating and buying gas and going to the studio, if we can make sure that they have income, sustainable income, where they can actually buy groceries and look nice. Because if I stand up here looking like how I look when I wake up in the morning, you wouldn't believe me that I wrote all these songs. But honestly, I really thank you for caring. I thank you for being who you are in the positions, in your respective positions. And I thank you for taking time out of your busy, busy schedule to be concerned about us and what we do. I got discovered on YouTube, so I am a true child of the internet generation. I know what it's like to get a check for $17 and think, oh my God, I made some money doing music. But the reality is that there are some younger, 18, I'm 27 now. When I was 18, I thought that was great. There are some younger kids out there who are going to get even less than that if we don't do something about it. So this next song that I'm getting ready to sing is, and when I chose this song, I wrote this song. I went to Nashville in January, and I stayed in Brett's barn. And he was kind enough to let me do that, and I saw all his millions of sold records, plaques, and I was like, man, I gotta get me some of them. And so I wrote this song just hanging out at a friend's house, and that's kind of how it happens sometimes. You know, this is a job, but sometimes it happens when you're just having a conversation. You're just talking to somebody, and it's like, man, you know, all this stuff that's going on in the world, people dying and famine, and, you know, I want to write a song that is just, you know, like how Marvin Gaye wrote What's Going On. I want to write a song like that. And so we wrote this song called Oceans, and, you know, I'm a little ratchet. I don't know if y'all know what that means, but, you know, I like to, you know what I'm saying? You know, I love Jesus, but I like to do that too, you know what I'm saying? And tastefully, you know, like with a suit on.
Yes.
But, so,
Yes, that's right.
I'm young, I like to have fun, you know? So this song is a country song, which, you know, most country music has roots in gospel and soul. And so it's a soul rock country song over like a hip hop beat. So it's like gumbo. And so I really want you to understand that the lyrics mean so much to me in this record, and just I hope it touches your heart and pulls on your heartstrings and really affects the decisions that you make in the days to come. So this song is called Oceans. You come armed with magazines. You want war, but we only want peace. You don't understand my pain, and you won't, 'cause you never been chained. And nothing is changing except for the day. The people are different, but the problem's the same. To you it's only ripples in the water. To me it's waves crashing on the shore. To you it's only raindrops in a garden. To me it's oceans in a forest. Rockets glare and banners wave. If we're free, then we got to be brave. Nothing's changing except for the names. The people are different, but the problem is the same. To you it's only ripples in the water. To me it's waves crashing on the shore. To you it's only raindrops in a garden. Yeah. To me it's oceans in a forest. Tell me, have you ever seen oceans in a forest? Don't judge by the book. Don't shoot me a look. There's only one color that's loving one another. Don't you know we're children of the Father? Yeah. Oh, to you it's only ripples in the water. Yeah. It's only ripples in the water. Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, the representative from the 27th District of New York and a member of the House Energy and Commerce Committee, please welcome the Honorable Chris Collins.
Boy, is it a great night to be here. Our next songwriter, Brian McKnight, was born in my hometown, the great city of Buffalo, and now makes his home in Southern California. Brian has released 16 albums to date over the past 20 years, including his recent album, Better. And he has sold over 30 million albums worldwide and has received 16 Grammy nominations. In addition to being a singer, songwriter, and producer, he is a multi-instrumentalist who plays 9 instruments, including the piano, the guitar, the bass, the drums, percussion, the trombone, tuba, flugelhorn, not sure what that is, and the trumpet. We'll have to ask Brian about that. A man who does a variety of things very well. He's also a radio and TV personality, Broadway actor, a highly regarded basketball player. Oh my God. All that talent concentrated in the gentleman you are about to meet. Please welcome, from the hometown of Buffalo, New York, Brian McKnight.
Hi. It is truly amazing to not only be here with all of you tonight myself, but to be a fan of everyone that's been on this stage, and to you know, it's not often that we as performers, at least myself, to be able to sit back at other people's shows, because I do so many myself that it's rare to get that opportunity. And when we did this kind of thing about 3 weeks ago in LA, I got to see Brett perform and Desmond and everybody. It was just so fun just to hear these stories and know that I'm not the only person that deals with the things that that come out of my heart and my head, because I have no idea what anybody wants to listen to. I have no clue. I just know what I like, and I just hope that there are other people out there that like that too. And it's just great to see everyone that comes on the stage. MoZella, that was incredible, and Brett and Priscilla, everything. It's just great to be a part of it. I'm just surprised. I'm almost in awe that I get to be here to do this. And enough of that. When I was 17, I wrote a bunch of songs, and I was waiting for the Chicago Bulls to draft me, and that didn't happen. I said, I'll do this music thing in the meantime, and I was sending all my demos out to everywhere, because I didn't want to be an artist. That didn't really appeal to me, because all I was a church kid. I played piano in church. I played little drums in this other church. And I played guitar in this other church. And then we do bar mitzvahs and things on Sunday afternoons. But I sent all these demos out, and I met this guy named John Tita, who's sitting right there. And he was a publisher at, I think you were at Polygram then, or maybe it was Universal or Motown. It was one of those labels that Universal then bought and then sold and then bought and then sold. And anyway, he gave me my first shot. And that's when I became a professional songwriter, and I've been one ever since. And it's great to be here for all of those, and it's like Priscilla said, it's not necessarily about me, even though I'd like to do better and do all that too, but it's that 16, 17-year-old kid that wants to be in this business, that doesn't really know how, that, like Monica said, doesn't really know about the paperwork, doesn't really know about that, but it's the love. If I wake up every day and I write something new, even if it sucks, because I have to, it is what's inside of me that comes out. And sometimes, just to give you a bit of my process, not that you asked, I'm going to tell you. It may start with something as simple as just a little couple of changes that go like. Maybe not that one, but. And then a melody. Can't remember why we fell apart.
something that was so meant to be. Forever was the promise in our hearts. Now more and more I wonder where you are. Do I ever cross your mind anytime? Do you ever wake up reaching out for me? Do I ever cross your mind anytime? I miss you. Still have your picture in the frame. Ooh, hear your footsteps down the hall. I swear I hear your voice driving me insane. How I wish that you would go out to say, do I ever cross your mind anytime? Do you ever wake up reaching out for me? Do I ever cross your mind anytime? I miss you. I miss you. No more loneliness and heartache. No more crying myself to sleep. No more wondering about tomorrow. Won't you come back to me? Come back to me. I don't think you heard me, 'cause I don't think you're listening. But I know somebody in here has missed somebody. And if you know what I'm talking about, just wave your hand like this right here, right now. Just wave your hand like this right now. All you gotta do is repeat after me one time. Repeat after me and say, I'm missing you. That wasn't everybody. Now all you gotta do is repeat after me one time. Repeat after me and say, I'm missing you. That was a little bit better. So let's complicate it just a little bit. Repeat after me and say, I'm missing you. I'm missing you. I'm missing you. One more time, one more time. I'm missing you. I'm missing you. I'm missing you. Can we take it up one time? Take it up one time. Woo! I don't believe it. Don't believe it. So let's take it up one more time. Repeat after me and say woo! Hey! Okay, don't get beside yourself. Don't get beside yourself. See, you started here, ended up over there. Do I ever cross your mind anytime? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I had 3 dreams, actually. Obviously, one to do what I do now. The other was to be a professional athlete. The third one was to be a gynecologist. But then I realized that you really couldn't just pick and choose your clientele, so... I don't even know why I told you that, but that leads right into my next song. The remedial math song from '99. It's undeniable that we should be together. It's unbelievable how I used to say that I'd fall never. The basis need to know if you don't know just how I feel. Then let me show you now that I'm for real. If all things in time will reveal. Everyone in the house say, one, you're like a dream come true. Two, just wanna be with you. Three, girl, it's plain to see that you're the only one for me. And four, repeat steps 1 through 3. 5, make you fall in love with me. If ever I believe my work is done, say what? Then I start back at 1. So incredible the way things work themselves out, and all emotional once you know what it's all about. And undesirable for us to be apart. I never would have made it very far. 'Cause you know you've got the keys to my heart. 'Cause 1, you're like a dream come true. 2, just wanna be with you. 3, girl, it's plain to see that you're the only one for me. And 4, repeat steps 1 through 3. 5, make you fall in love with me. If ever I believe my work is done, say farewell to the dark of night. I see the coming of the sun. I feel like a little child whose life has just begun. You came and breathed new life into this lonely heart of mine. You threw out the lifeline just in the nick of time. 'Cause 1, you're like a dream come true. 2, just wanna be with you. 3, girl, it's plain to see that you're the only one for me. And 4, repeat steps 1 through 3. 5, make you fall in love with me. If ever I believe my work is done, then I start back at 1. If ever I believe my work is done, then I start back at 1. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the representative from the 7th District of Tennessee, a member of the House Committee on Energy and Commerce, and co-founder and co-chair of the Congressional Songwriters Caucus, the Honorable Marsha Blackburn.
Thank you. Thank you. And Brian, I have to tell you, that was absolutely fantastic. And maybe in Congress, instead of house leadership, we need the house choir master. You could get us singing off the same tune, and in order to get on the same tune, maybe we should all go to Brett James's barn, since we've heard so much about it tonight. Well, in Nashville, we say it all begins with a song. And certainly for the past 3 decades, our next songwriter performer has been one of music's most successful forces. Now living in Nashville, he was born in Gainesville, Florida, and followed in the musical footsteps of his late mother, the noted Cuban songwriter and poet, Alana Casals. With over 70, get this, 70 top 40 singles to his credit. As a writer or a producer, his collaborations run the gamut, from Cher to Katy Perry, Ricky Martin to Joan Jett, Kiss to Kelly Clarkson, and Bon Jovi to Aerosmith. He was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame and serves on its board, and is also Chairman CEO of the Latin Songwriters Hall of Fame and a member of the ASCAP board. Please welcome the amazing, incredible, talented Desmond Child.
Thank you so much, Marcia. Oh my God. I'm gonna kill you, John, to put me after Brian McKnight. Talent, like incredible voice and performer and charm and looks. I hate you. I'm gonna kill you. Oh my God. Well, I guess I better start singing. I wrote this song with these long-haired dudes from New Jersey back in, we wrote this song in like 1985 or something like that. And John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora. And back then they weren't John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora. They were just 2 long-haired dudes from New Jersey. But we struck gold. It was chemistry, and we still write to this day and very close. And I wrote this song, like each of us, I'm sure, thought we were writing about our own lives. But I think I have more of a claim on this one, because before I had a girlfriend. That's when I still had girlfriends. Maria Vidal, and she was an artist, and we had a group together, but she worked as a singing waitress, and everybody called her Gina, after Gina Lollobrigida. So here's the story of Tommy and Gina. Tommy used to work on the docks. The union's been on strike. He's down on his luck. It's tough. So tough. Gina works the diner all day, working for her man. She brings home the pay for love. For love. wait. I don't think I've ever played this with a band, this song. Oh, that, when I was inducted, that was the only time. And this was the same band. They follow me everywhere. Or Nancy Munoz. Where's my water? Okay, whatever. Okay, I'll tell you a story about this. I started working with Ricky Martin because I had seen a video of him in Argentina, and he filled the streets of Buenos Aires, closed it. 1 million people showed up, and I said, okay, I'm going to work with that guy. So they put me in, for the crossover record. And we actually, first we did the song called The Cup of Life, La Copa de la Vida, which was the soccer World Cup of 1998. And he sang it, and it was Paris versus Brazil, and luckily France won. And that song went instantly #1, like 23 countries. And he sang it on the Grammys. Does anybody ever remember that performance? And I honestly say, without bragging, that song with him singing it, it was the fuse that lit the Latin music explosion that came. And there would be no Latin Grammys without that performance. I can assure you of that. And so then they asked me to write another one. But this time they said, oh, well, can you write a bilingual song? And so I started working on the song. It took me 3 days, but it's I was racking my head, what words would Americans understand? I started going through Pollo Tropical and or Pollo Loco menus, for words. And so finally I came up with, the song Livin La Vida Loca, which has a lot of alliteration, but really the song only has 2 Spanish words, Vida and Loca because of Pollo Loco, everybody knows that, right? And so I turned in the song, I was so proud of it, and the president of Columbia Records, Donnie Einer, calls me up and he says, okay, the song's good, but could you write it in English now? I said, it is in English. He says, nobody's gonna understand what that means. So the first ad came out in Billboard, it said, living the crazy life. It's really? Okay, whatever. So it's really one of the funnest songs ever, and I'm gonna try to do my best here. Brett wrote this song called Jesus Take the Wheel. It's Jesus Take the Band. Honestly. He sang that recently at this ASCAP thing. He broke my heart singing that song. I thought he was gonna sing it tonight. And so, and MoZella, hearts are smarter than minds. When you write a song from the heart, it turns out good. When you figure it out like a puzzle, like what Priscilla was saying, it's not as good. And so that's why we're here. And when a song is written from the heart, another heart will hear it and relate to it no matter who they are. And that's why music's so important. After air, water, food, clothing, shelter, we can't live without music. Nope. It's everywhere. And you gotta help us to protect the value of music so that, like Priscilla said, future generations can pick this as a profession. Here we go. Sensation. Thank you. Paul, come on, come live La Vida Loca out here with us.
Desmond Child, ladies and gentlemen. Desmond Child. Well, thank you. Thank you, Desmond. Thank you, everybody. Thanks to all the performers. Thank you all for sharing this evening with us. I'd like to extend a special thanks to our music creators, members of Congress, and the entire library and ASCAP teams. Please help me applaud our phenomenal music director, Mr. Chris Caswell. Mr. Caswell. There's some amazing band. Dean Parks on guitar. John Lee Sanders on sax and keys. Will Lee on bass, we do it right. Omar Hakim on the drums. Vocalist Venice Thomas, Dennis Collins, and Jill DeLabate. Good night, everybody. God bless you. When you hear a song, think about us. We love you.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.